Hello and welcome back to part 2 of the Diamonds Reflections lace along, and in this part we're going to begin putting in the pattern in this outside part and then also the inner part. Now the first thing that I have to do is to get my pairs back together from my starting pin. So when I put the pairs in, I put them in and hung them open. So I then split my pairs up. So I need to get them back together. So the first thing I'm going to do is cross the bobbin 2, which is my gold rush, over the top of bobbin 3 in the two pairs basically in the middle. You're going to cross them, and then I'm going to put a twist on. So they're my pairs back together and all ready to start my torsion edge, because the first pin I have to do is this one here. I'm then going to take the other pair that I left out on that first pin. Remember, I left 3 out. I'm going to pop a twist on it, and now I'm all set to do my torsion edge. Now traditionally my torsion edge would be cross stitch and twist, cross stitch and twist, both pairs, and then extra twist on the edge, and you pin up between pins 2 and 3, sorry, between pairs 2 and 3, and then close that with a cross stitch and twist. Now one of the problems with this is that you can see already you get the white threads going over your gold rush. So in order to avoid that, I'm going to do a Russian technique for one of their gimps. So I'm just going to take that all back. Okay, now this technique is really easy to do. All you have to remember is that you lift up the right hand bobbin of the pair, and the thread always goes underneath the right hand bobbin. So what's going to happen is you'll lift this pair up and this pair here will just slide over, and then you pop a twist on that pair. And what you can see is that the gold rush thread runs over the top of the white pair, and it also runs underneath the white pair, and this white pair is encased in between your gold rush. Now the other thing I'm also going to do is pop an extra twist on this pair, because normally I would have done a cross stitch and twist, so I would have had a twist from the start in and a twist after going through the gold rush. But as I've just gone through the gold rush without working a stitch, I'm going to put the extra twist on this pair here to counteract for that, because that way then my twist will show up and it will push my threads apart. I'm now going to do my cross stitch and twist both pairs as normal, extra twist on the edge, and then I can pin up again between 2 and 3. I'm then going to pop another extra twist on this one, because then I'm going to lift up this right bobbin, slide my pair through and put a twist on there. Then I can now go into my ground stitch. So you can see here, this is my next pair, so I'm going to pop a twist on it because it's come off my cross stitch without any twists. I'm going to half stitch, drop my pin, get that later, pin up, close with a half stitch. And then I just want to give everything over here attention, because I'm using my gold rush, which is a thicker thread. It's also very bobbly. You can see it's not a smooth thread like my cotton. So I am going to pay particular attention to tensioning up my gold rush pair. So now I'm ready to come back across to do this edge pin here. So again, I'm going to lift my right hand bobbin, slide my pair through. I'm going to pop an extra twist on that pair that I've just taken through, a twist on my gold rush, and then I'm going to do my cross stitch and twist. And now because I'm putting 2 twists, I'm just going to do 2 twists on both. And now I'm going to pin up and just give everything a little bit of attention. And I'm ready to take this pair back through my gold rush. So lift my right hand bobbin through and twist. And now we're all set ready to do the next ground stitch. So I'm going to take the next pair, just going to tidy up this bobbin here. Right, and now I'm going to do a half stitch, pin up, close with a half stitch, and I've got this pair ready to go. Half stitch, pin up, half stitch, and I'm just going to give everything over here a little bit of a tension because you can see it pulled up. So now you can start to see your gold rush pear, and you can definitely see you get a solid light colour as opposed to broken up with the white. So I'm ready to go and do my edge again. So lift the right bobbin, slide the other pair through, twist both pairs, and then we're ready to do our cross stitch and twist twice and pin up. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of attention, ready for that pair to go back again. So again, lift the right hand bobbin, both pairs through, twist the gold rush. So let me just show you one more time. So I've got no twist on here. If you're ever unsure as to which bobbin is your left hand bobbin, if you look at, if I just take that off slightly, if you look at this thread here, it is slightly raised above this one. That's because this left hand bobbin goes over the top of the worker thread. So if I lift it up, I can pull it right back over to there with no difficulty. If I try and do that one, you can see it catches on the threads because this one's going under. So your left bobbin is always the bobbin that is what I call a top thread. If you ever need to throw a bobbin out, and you can do it, always take the top thread. But the way you can see it is that it's just slightly raised above this right hand thread. So I'm going to pop a twist on that, come down with my half stitch, pin half stitch, down through my 3, and I'm back at my edge pinhole again. So I'm going to just lift my right bobbin, slide my pair through, put a twist on both, and then I'm ready to do my cross stitch and twist twice. So then pin up between 2 and 3. I'm just going to give it a slight tension, lift my right bobbin again, slide it through, twist, and it's ready to go off and do my half stitch, pin half stitch. And what you will notice is you get this lovely solid, because I'm using red, you get this lovely solid red line with none of the white showing as it passes through. And because we've done it pinned up as a torsion edge, we've got this lovely straight line. So that's what you're after. So that's those, and I'm now ready to come down and do my pins to bring in the right hand pairs for my rose ground. I've got my 2 left, these 2 here, so I need to catch up the other side. Now whenever I've got something like this, I always make sure I go to the next pin. So it's quite tempting to do these 2 and stop, but you'll find on this pin you have 2 pairs coming off of it, and so I always go to the next pin so I can see very clearly which my 2 pairs are for my right. So I'm just going to bring the pairs in and I'm going to pop a twist on so I'm ready to go. There we are. So there's my 3 pairs to do my 3 pinholes, and now I'm literally doing half stitch, pin, half stitch through all 3. So if I was to stop now, you can see I've got my 2 pairs coming off of here, and it's not quite as plain sailing looking at it. So if you just take it 1 extra pinhole, and I always do this, I also do it with my spider as well. So now I can see clearly my 2 pairs for my rose ground. I've now got my 4 pairs for my rose ground, and now this rose ground can be any rose ground you want. If you want to do it as a regular rose ground with the cross stitch and twist edge, half stitch pins in the middle, then you can, because it's designed that way. It's got a square, so it can be any rose ground, or if you want to try any of the rose grounds from the Lace Rosarium, that's fine. But I'm going to introduce you to another rose ground. There's so many. So the only thing with this rose ground is it works similarly to the regular one. So the first thing I'm going to do is half stitch my 2 lefts and my 2 rights. So all of the stitch through the whole of this rose ground is half stitch. So that's half stitch here where you would normally do a cross stitch and twist. So that's half stitch my 2 left, half stitch my 2 right, no pin whatsoever. That's just a stitch that is just going to sit there. The next thing I'm going to do is half stitch my top pin with my 2 middle pairs, pin up and close that with a half stitch. Now in the regular one you would go off and do one side, off and do the other side, and then it would meet in the middle. But with this one it's not. I've closed my top pin with a half stitch. I'm going to take my right hand pair, half stitch through my right. I'm going to take my right hand pair from those 2, half stitch through the pair to the right. Let me pin that up. Oop, when I find a hole, it's in there somewhere. There it is. And now instead of just closing it and then moving over this side, I'm going to close it with a half stitch to the left through the middle pair, half stitch to the left through the left pair, and pin up. Then I'm going to close that one, and then I'm just going to half stitch the 2 middle together and pin up and close that. And then I'm going to do my half stitch on my 2 left and my half stitch on my 2 right. So let me just undo that and I will go back through and show it to you again. I've just undone my rose ground so I can show it to you again. And so I have my 4 pairs, 2 on my left, 2 on my right. The first thing I'm going to do is half stitch the 2 pairs. So half stitch the 2 left, half stitch the 2 right. Now we're going to pin up our pins. So half stitch the middle 2, pin up and close that with a half stitch. I'm then going to take the right hand pair from that pair, half stitch to the right, pin up, close the pin, and then I'm going to half stitch through the middle pair, half stitch through the last pair, pin up, close with a half stitch, and then to do my last pin, half stitch the middle 2, pin up, and close with a half stitch. Then to finish it off, half stitch the 2 left, half stitch the 2 right. And you will see you get this, it's basically a trail. So you've got what's almost a worker that goes backwards and forwards in half stitch. So you get the lines that occur when you do trails in half stitch. I'm now going to do the next pinholes around here and here. Now whenever I do this, if you've got 2 pairs coming off of a rose ground, I will do this pin and this pin straight away. I won't do this pin and go off somewhere else. I will do the 2 one after the other. This makes it really easy to work out where your pairs are, because otherwise if you do one of the pairs and then come back, this pair will look like it's already pinned up, and that's where a lot of the mistakes happen. So I'm just going to half stitch, do my ground stitch through both pairs one at a time. So there's my first one. And pin up, half stitch, pin, half stitch. So when you come back, if you look, this pair looks like it's already been worked, but it hasn't, because it's still part of the rose ground up here. So in order to navigate any mistakes, I've done one, I'm now going to do the second, half stitch, pin, half stitch. Oh, and I've just pinned up in the wrong place. That's good. Now I could undo it, but the other alternative, I've lifted this bobbin and I'm just going to nudge the pin up, but you want to make sure that you pull the pin out slowly. So let me see if, I'm hoping you can see this. So I've pulled the pin up and I've still got it in my thread hole, and then I'm moving it. It's just a little fudge, but if it comes out completely, you will have to undo it, but it is one way that you can do it. Okay, so I've got my pins secured this side. I can't do this pin yet until I come down here. So again, I've got my 2 pairs coming off of my rose ground. So I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go half stitch, pin, half stitch. Now, you might want to go off and do this edge stitch because you've now got the pair, but I would advise coming and doing this one first, so you then have both of the pairs off your rose ground done. So then half stitch, pin, half stitch, then the last middle one at the bottom, because I tend to go as far as I can, and there we are, that's all done. So now you can see clearly my 2 pairs coming off of my pins, so it just makes life a little bit easier. So I'm now back to my edge. So my pair's got a twist on it, you can see that there. So I'm now going to lift my right bobbin, slide this pair through, twist both pairs, cross stitch and twist both pairs twice, pin up between my second and third, just to give that a bit of a tension. Then I'm going to lift my right bobbin through my gimp, twist that one, and off it goes again. And then I'm ready to do my other ground stitches, 2 half stitch, pin, half stitches. And then I'm back at my edge again. So again, lift your right bobbin, slide your pair through, twist both pairs, and then we're going to cross stitch and twist both pairs twice, pin up between the second and third. I'm just going to tension that up. Again, to go through, lift your right bobbin, slide it through and twist your pair, this gold rush pair. Half stitch, pin, half stitch, and we're at our edge again. Lift your right hand bobbin, slide it through, twist both pairs, cross stitch and twist both pairs twice, pin up or between pairs 2 and 3, and then back through for the final time at the moment, because we need to go and do the other side. Lift the right bobbin, slide it through, and you could put it here and then twist, but as it's up in the air, you may as well do it automatically. So when it's up here, you just pop it to the left of this bobbin. Okay, that's all that edge done. So the next stage, I'm just going to slide my pairs over, is to come down. So again, I need this side for my legs. So I always, instead of stopping here, because I then have all my legs, I take it one further. So I'm coming down to this corner here. Now I always think of my spiders as being in a box here, which is why I called this a corner. So I've come down this side to this corner, I'm going to come down this side to this corner, and then I'll have all my pairs to do my spider. I've now got my 4 legs for my spiders, and because I've taken this side 1 pin further, I can clearly see my 2 right hand legs and my 2 left hand legs, and I've moved everything else out of the way so I can just concentrate on these 4. Now in this spider, I'm going to pop a bead in. So on my pattern, I put beads in every alternate spider. So this one, this one, this one, and the same on this side as well. If you want to put a bead in every single one and a bead in your rose ground, it's entirely up to you. This is your lace, so you can make the choice. Now when you put a bead in, if you do it as a cross stitch spider as normal, the bead will sit on one side of the lace, but because this is a hanging up diamond reflections, I want my bead to be seen from all angles, because there is a risk that your diamond reflections is going to spin round. So in order to compensate for that, I'm going to do a half stitch spider. The first thing I'm going to do is just make sure I put 2 twists, or I have 2 twists on my legs, because taking off that third one helps accommodate the bead. So 1 extra twist on both sides. And now I'm ready to do my spider. So I'm going to take my second, or my inner left hand pair. This is only a 4-legged spider, so it's fairly simple, but I'm going to take my inner left hand pair, or if you work the other direction, you take the inner right hand pair, and I'm going to half stitch through 2 pairs to whichever side you're doing. So I'm going to the left. If you do it the other way, you'll go to the right. So half stitch, and I'm going to leave my pair there. Now, if you're unsure as to which pair of bobbins you need to take next, you don't count this one, but because we've got 2 legs on our spider, I'm going to count not that pair, but 1, 2, and it brings me back to my next pair. If I had 3, I would count 3. If I had 4 legs, I would count 4. But it always takes you back. So just in case you're never sure, especially with this half stitch, because it's not actually very clear the way it is with a cross stitch. So you just ignore the pair you've just gone through, count back the number of legs. So that's 1, 2, which takes me to this one. Now, normally this pair would half stitch through to this point here, through its 2 legs on this side. But because I want to put the bead in, I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm just going to half stitch through the first pair. I'm then going to pin up, if I can find the hole. There we are. And then I'm now ready to put my bead in. So I'm going to lengthen 1 pair, and I always tend to go for my left hand pair. And to make it easy on myself, I do have a tendency of lengthening it quite a bit. Now I'm ready to put my bead on. Now my bead, because it's a 3mm, I hope you can see that, it wouldn't actually go through the needle on my Lazy Susan. So what I have here is a needle threader, and I'm going to pop that up through the hole in my bead. So now I have my bead on my needle threader. I'm going to take a spare piece of thread, and I'm going to, let me just put the ends together because it makes it a little bit easier. Oh, when I can get them. There we go. Okay, so I've put the ends together and I have a loop on the other end, and I'm going to put those 2. My needle thread is a little bit being thinned down from all the beads I've put on, but I'm going to put those 2 hopefully through my needle threader. Oh no, I'm not. I'm going to try again. There we go. So now I have my bead on my needle threader and my thread through the needle threader metal bit. So then I'm going to pull my bead off, and then I'm just going to stop it a little way. You don't want to pull it all the way through, because you'll pull your bead right off your thread. I'm then going to use my needle threader to pull the ends through. So now I have a piece of thread with a loop on it and a bead, and this is the thread of your Lazy Susan. So I can now put the pair that I lengthened down through that hole. So let me do it one at a time. That's the first one through, and then I'm going to make sure I put the other bobbin down in the same direction. Okay, and I'm going to get that little piece of fluff out of the way, and I haven't done it. Hang on. Okay, let's try that again. Down through the loop. Here we go. It only happens on live video, doesn't it? Okay, so now you can see I've got my 2 bobbins through my loop, and I'm then going to take my bead and I'm going to pull my bead off of my thread and onto the threads of my bobbin. I'm then going to leave this thread in, because at the moment, look, you can see I can tell distinctly which are my loops, where my loops are, and which direction my threads are going. So I'm just going to slide it down and then pop it out the way for a minute. This is a safety precaution, because as you saw when I was trying to put my other bobbin through the loop, I dropped everything. And if you do that and then end up putting one bobbin one direction and one bobbin the other direction, you're going to get a little bit of a mess. So then going to pop my other bobbins through, and I'm popping them through one at a time. If you want to do it both together, that's fine, but it does make things a little bit tricky because you're trying to contend with a loop and two bobbins and beads. So I've now popped the pair that I've just put through down, and I can see, if I just hold that up, can you see my threads are going straight through the middle of that loop? And that means that my threads have gone both in the same direction, and I'm happy about that, and I can take this thread out. Pop it to one side because you're going to need that again. I'm then going to tension up this pair that went through the loop, and the first thing after that I'm going to do is to remove this loop first. So I'm just going to pull it down until it sits neatly, one of those threads. There we go. So now I've got the bead in the middle and both of these lengths the same. Don't try and do it all in one go, because it just makes life a little bit harder for yourself, because you're trying to tension up this thread here at the same time as moving the bead up. So get rid of that loop first. Now I'm going to tension up my bead and move it up to my pin. Do not at this point be tempted to do it like this with your bobbins, because you're quite a way away from your bead, and this is where a lot of the times the thread snaps, because you're trying to pull against the bead and move it up into place, but you're doing it from way back. So instead, what you want to do is to walk your fingers up your thread, just like this, and you see there's no pressure on the thread, and then you can finally nudge it into place with your finger. And there you have our bead in the middle of our spider. And I'm just going to shorten my bobbins. I know it seems a little bit of a pain, but it makes life so much easier having a large loop to put your threads through, your other bobbins through. So and I'm all for making life easy for myself, because otherwise you're battling with threads, beads, thread from your magic loopy thread, and the bobbins and the spangles. So now my bead is in place, and everything will tension up in a minute further after I've finished off my spider and I've secured all the legs. Now, in order to finish off my spider, I need to finish the bottom of the body. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure, now when you put a bead on, a lot of the twists end up in the middle of the bead and not actually appearing on your bobbins. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make sure that I can see one twist on both of my threads here. It might mean that I've got more threads on, but it just means that on the outside of the bead you have a twist. So to finish off my spider's body, I'm going to half stitch the two left hand pairs, half stitch the two right hand pairs, and then I'm going to half stitch the two middles. And that is now my spider's body finished, and my bead is in the middle. I'm then going to add another twist to all my legs to compensate for the bead. And normally you would use 3 twists, but there's already one on, and this time I only want to make sure there's 2. So now I'm going to come down and secure these 2 legs, and then I'm going to come down and secure these 2 legs. So that's going back to my half stitch pin. And everything's going to be a little bit wobbly at this point because it's a half stitch spider, but don't panic. So that's that side. Now, I don't tend to then come off and do down here because I want to make sure that all my legs are nice and secure. before I go any further. The worst thing is you get down to here and then you find you've got a big loop in one of your legs up here. You'd have to undo it to release it to then get that loop out. So I tend to take each pattern piece just singly and do one bit at a time. So it's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle and doing the outside first and then filling in the middle. So now I'm going to do the other side, half stitch, pin, half stitch, and then we have the bottom of our box, this last pin here. So I've got my 2 pairs here, and you can see now all my legs are secured. Sometimes you're not able to secure all your legs, and that's fine, but just keep an eye on making sure that your twists are all nicely secured and straight. So I'm going to half stitch, pin. Now normally I would put a new pin in, but I'm not going to. I'm going to carefully take the one out from the middle, because this pin in the middle of your half stitch spider does absolutely nothing at all. It was just put there to help secure everything while you did the rest of your spider, but it can now be taken out, and then you can give everything attention and everything sits nicely where it's meant to be. So I'm going to close that with a half stitch and then just give everything a little stroke. You don't have to be really hard tension in it, but you just want to make sure there are no lumps and twists on your legs. All your legs on your spider are the important part, because you want nice straight ones. So now I could come down over here, but I'm actually going to go over to this side because we're now really close to this edge. So we want to get that in. So I've got a couple of ground stitches. So again, I've looked at my threads and this one's raised. So this is my top thread because they were crossed. Twist, half stitch, pin, half stitch. That's it. I'm just going to nudge them all over. Now we're back at this point here, which is where we added our other gold rush for the outside edge of the first part. And we added them, as we did with the first one, we added them on an open start, separating the pairs. So the first thing we need to do is get them back together again. So I'm going to cross my middle 2 bobbins like so. So bobbin in position 2 over bobbin in position 3. And then I'm going to pop a twist on my pairs, and there's your pairs all back together, safe and sound. So now I'm going to do my last ground stitch before my edge pin, and there it is. And I know this is my edge pin because I drew in this long straight line which shows you the edges, the inside edge of this one and the outside edge of this one. So none of the pairs from here should ever cross over into here at this point. So we're ready to now do another one of our edge stitches. So here's my other pair and there's my twist. So I'm good to go on there. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this bobbin through to over here. So lift up my right hand bobbin, slide it through, put it down and then twist that one. Then I'm ready to do my ground stitch on the edge. So cross stitch, twist both pairs twice, pin up between the second and third from the right. So it's 1, 2, 3. So between 2 and 3. And then I'm just going to tension this up slightly. I'm ready to do my gold rush again. So lift my right hand bobbin, slide my pair through, pop it down and twist it. Then I've got all my pairs now for this next rose ground. Okay, so I've done my edge and I've now got my pairs for my rose ground. So I'm just going to go through it again with you. So I've got my 4 pairs. So I'm going to half stitch my 2 left, half stitch my 2 right. Then I'm ready to start doing my pins. So half stitch the middle 2, pin up and close with a half stitch. Half stitch the right hand pair, pin up, close with a half stitch, then half stitch through right to the left hand side, pin up, close that with a half stitch, and then half stitch the middle 2 pairs, pin up, close that with a half stitch, and then half stitch the left hand 2, half stitch the right hand 2. Again, I've got this bobbin, this pair of bobbins to come down these 2 pins, so I'm going to do both of them straight away, one after the other. So that's half stitch, pin, half stitch, half stitch, pin, half stitch. I'm not going to worry about the other side for the moment because I just want to show you this edge again. So we're at the edge again, we've got the final pin here, so we're going to lift the right hand bobbin, slide our pair through, put it down, which twists it, and then twist the other pair. Then we're going to do a cross stitch, twist both pairs twice, pin between the second and third, give everything a little bit of attention, and now we're going to lift the right hand bobbin, slide our pair through, and then twist it. It's ready to then come and do my half stitch, pin, half stitch, and this pair's ready to go through. Lift my right bobbin, slide it through, put that down over there to twist it, and twist the other one. Now we're going to cross stitch and twist both pairs twice, put a pin in between the second and third, and then it's quite tempting actually to do cross stitch and twist because that's what you normally do at this edge, but we're not. We're going to lift the right hand bobbin, slide our pairs through, and then twist it. So it's not quite so easy to just do the twist automatically because you've got the bobbin in your right hand as opposed to your left, so it's not quite so easy there. Right, so I'm going to now just go off and do this rose ground here so that I can come and show you a half stitch spider without the bead in it. I've got all my legs now for my spider, so the first thing I want to do with this one now, because I haven't got the bead in, I can put the 3 twists on my legs. So I need to add 2 twists because there's already one on my pairs from my half stitch, so I just need to add another 2. So I've got 3 twists on all my legs now, and this is as normal. Now I'm going to take my inner pair from my left, or if you work the other way, the right hand, and I'm going to take it through 2 pairs to the opposite side in half stitch. Then I'm going to leave that one there, count back through my legs, so that's 1, 2, which gives me this pair, half stitch through 2 because I have 2 legs, put my pin in. Then I'm just going to give it a little bit of attention. You're not going to be able to do this too hard because as soon as you pull one, everything else moves because you're in half stitch. And I'm now going to take my inner left hand pair or my inner right hand pair, whichever one you use, and half stitch it through 2 pairs to the end. So that's this one here, half stitch, half stitch. Then I'm going to leave that one, ignore it, count back through my leg numbers, so that's 2 to my other pair. Now this is quite a handy method, especially for the half stitch. In the cross stitch it's a little bit clearer, but half stitch all the pairs separate. So by knowing that if you don't include the one that's just gone through, if you count back through your legs, you can find the pair that you need. I'm then going to half stitch that through 2 pairs, and I've now done all of my spider's body. And I'm ready to do my legs. Now, one of the things I would say to you, if you get in a muddle with your half stitch, don't attempt to rectify it and guess where the legs should be. Undo it back to the start, because all of the pairs split up and one bobbin goes one way and another goes the other way. Trying to work out where your threads are going is a lot harder, so it's a lot easier just to go, I'm just undoing it right back to before I put my body on. So I want to put now my legs on, so it's 2 twists on the left pairs, 2 twists on the right, and we're done. So I'm then going to put my spider in its box. So there's my half stitch, pin, half stitch down the 2 right hand legs. And can I do that with the left? I can, but if I no, I'm good. I've already done my legs off of my rose ground, so I'm already set. So one of the things I think I haven't done, I'm just going to go back and check. I don't think I put a twist on this side, so let me just undo that, the half stitch off my rose ground. So I'm just going to go back and check that, because I want to make sure I have. Okay, just quickly, and it doesn't look like I have. So that just goes to show that even if you know what you're doing, you can still make little mistakes. So as you can see, there's no half stitch on these two of my rose ground. So, and I knew that because instead of there being a stitch in the middle between this set of pins and this set, they were both coming straight out. So just keep an eye on that. As you can see, it's easily done, even when you know what you're doing. And if I put those pins back in, you'll be able to see the difference. So there's my corner of my box, and you can see now, look, you've got that stitch in the middle here, which wasn't there before. It was just two single lines. So that's worth keeping an eye on. And there's so much going on with lace that you have to be really with it. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my my legs in. So half stitch, pin, half stitch, and that will bring me down to the corner of my box there, this last one here. So I'm going to do my half stitch. Now again, with the half stitch spider, you do not need that pin in the middle, so I'm going to take it out and use it to pin up this corner of my box. If you don't want to, that's fine. The pin doesn't actually do an awful lot because it's just there to tension against while you're making the rest of your spider. Once you've got the legs in secured, it's just sitting in a bit of a hole. So, but if you don't want to risk taking the pin out, don't panic, you don't need to worry. Now the difference between a cloth stitch spider and a half stitch spider is that a half stitch spider comes out square, which I really love. My square spider in a square box. So whenever you reach a spider, you have a design choice. Do I do it in cloth stitch or do I do it in half stitch? So that's one way of changing your bobbin lace patterns to make them more convenient for you. So now I'm going to pop all my bobbins on a stitch holder, and I'm going to come and begin this left hand side of my inner part. I'm now ready to start the torsion edge on this inner part. So the first pin I'm going to do is this one here. So on that pin, on the pin that I left 3 pairs out, I left my Gold Rush and my main colour, and they were hung open to take them into the trail. So first thing I need to do is to get my pairs back together. So exactly the same as the start, I'm going to cross my 2 middle bobbins, so that's left over right. Then I'm going to pop a twist on them, and they're ready for my other pair, this third pair that I left out, to come through to the edge. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop a twist on this one, and now we're back to doing our gimp thread. Really, it's a Russian tape lace technique for their gimp. So I'm going to call it a gimp, but my Gold Rush pair. So we're going to lift the right hand bobbin, put our pair through, put them down, and then twist both pairs. Then I'm ready to do my edge stitch. So that's cloth stitch and twist both pairs twice, pin up between 2 and 3, and then we're ready to take this pair back through our Gold Rush pair. Lift the right hand bobbin, slide our pair through, put the bobbin down to the left of the pair to give you your twist. Now don't panic, it looks like the twist has come off. It's just moved up, and it'll work itself out in a minute. So now I'm ready to come down and do my half stitch, my torsion ground. So I'm going to half stitch, pin up and close with a half stitch, just remembering to twist your pair as it comes out of your cloth stitch. So I've twisted a few of mine. So now we're ready for the edge again. So I'm going to lift my right hand gold rush pair, slide my pair through and then twist it. Put an extra twist on this pair as well, and then we're going to cloth stitch, twist both pairs twice, pin up between 2 and 3, give everything as much of attention as you possibly can. This is going to be trickier here because we have the pins in on that side. So we're now ready to take this pair back through to do our ground stitches. So I'm going to lift this bobbin of the right hand pair of my gold rush, slide it through and twist by putting it down to the left. So then you've got your next set of half stitch, pin, half stitch. Oh, let me just shorten that bobbin. This one needs a little bit of a tidy up. I'll do that in a mo. And we're at the torsion edge again. So lift your right hand bobbin, slide your pair through, then twist both pairs. I think when your thread is this side, it's easier to put the bobbin down and then twist it. And we've got another twist. We twisted both of them at the same time. Cloth stitch and twist twice, pin between 2 and 3. Now this is now going to be a little bit easier to tension because our pins aren't in the way. Lift our right hand bobbin of our gold rush, put it down over there, and then we're ready to carry on with our ground stitch. So I'm just going to come off and do all the ground stitches down to you and show you how we can work this edge here. As predicted, my half stitch has come off of its pin. So you can either leave adding this pair till last before when you get down to it, or it's just simply a question of just taking your pair, undoing your pair, popping it back on the pin and redoing your half stitch, pin, half stitch. Oh, just take the pin back out, repin it. It's just purely because when you move the threads out of the way, it's not actually secure, so there runs the risk of coming off of the pin. So now this pin might look a little bit odd, but the pin hole's been used a couple of times, so it's a little bit loose. So I'm just popping it at a slightly different angle to make sure the pin's in securely. So now I'm going to do this pin here with this white pair, half stitch, pin, half stitch, and then we're back at our edge again. Now this edge here, the pair is going straight down, it's not coming at an angle. When you started this one, it was coming at an angle, so you only really needed the one, but you can put an extra twist if you want. But then this one is straight down, so I need to pop an extra twist on that one. This pair already has it, and this pair already has it. So now I'm going to lift my right hand bobbin, place my white pair, my main colour pair, through, twist that pair and twist that pair. Then we're going to cloth stitch and twist both pairs twice and pin up between our second and third. And then in order to get our main colour back into the main part, lift your right hand bobbin, thread it through and twist. And there you are, ready to come down in the pattern on the next bit. Now just a word on this gimp, this Russian gimp. You can pop this technique in any place of a gimp. All you need to remember is that you need to have a pair. You have to have one pair to be able to do the twisting. You can't do it with a single. So you just need to add a pair of bobbins where you would add a single gimp, and then you can use this technique. And I personally, I love it because all you see is the colour of the gimp. You don't see any of the thread running through because the thread goes through the middle. And this will be the same on the reverse side as well. Whereas with traditionally with a torsion edge, you would do the cross stitch and twist, you would see the white threads, but this method gives you the beauty of a solid colour. You now know how to complete the pattern for the diamond reflections, and just remember that neither of these two should be joined up. Each side should be free, otherwise you won't be able to turn the pieces around to create the pattern. One last thing to say is not to take any of the pins out, push them all down. You will need quite a few pins, but because this is going to be stiffened, you want to keep the pins in because it can't work without being stiffened. On the next part, I'm going to show you how to do this corner here, because it's slightly different because it takes into account creating a little hole for the ribbon. And then the corner here where we need to add the 3 extra pairs. So the other thing I would just say is that when I worked it, I've tried it a couple of different ways. I've tried working all of the outer one all the way down to here and then the inner one, but I think the way that has worked best for me is to work a little bit of this one and then a little bit of that one, so you catch them up at the same time. So you work this one down to a point, then come over here and work that down to the point. So hopefully that makes sense and you'll enjoy making your lace. I really enjoyed making the pattern, and it's a really enjoyable lace, I think, with lots of different techniques. Have fun and thanks for watching.